March 20th, 2020, and like everyone else locked up in their homes, I got up, turned on my Switch, and excitedly started playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. Timmy and Tommy gave me the rundown. I customized my face, put in my name and birth date, picked my ideal island, and said I'd take a sleeping bag with me to a deserted island because who doesn't love to sleep? After losing my mind over how pretty the game looked during the in-fight montage, I arrived and met my two other island explorers, Renee and Teddy. We said hi to Tom Nook, he gave us tents to set up, and I chose a nice little spot behind some trees next to the river and near a beach. After helping Teddy and Renee choose their tent spots, we all headed by the raccoons and were given our next task of helping set up the deserted island Rager. A few branches and apples later, we all screamed island names at each other and my name was selected because I'm the chosen one. However, when creating the name, I thought the game would automatically add island at the end of it. I was a fool. So the island was named Penguin, and I said, screw this, I don't want to live somewhere just called Penguin. I said goodbye forever to Teddy, Renee, and my floral shirt and started anew. On this new island, our fellow adventurers are Muffy and Tank, and I immediately like them better because Muffy is a goth sheep and Tank has a leaf on his head. This time, I chose a spot just north of the beach within a group of trees, did some sick parkour over a log bench, and collected peaches for the party instead of apples. When it came time to scream island names, I chose Kyoshi this time because I really love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Though I will say that Awesome Beach and Buffberg were both fantastic options. Since everyone liked my name the best, that pretty much automatically qualifies me for being the representative of the island, a very fair way to assess the quality of one's character. I say a word or two, we all take out our peach martinis, have a toast, and Nook gives me a cot so I can go take a nap. And I mean, I had a busy day of picking up sticks and shaking trees. So I conk right out and I get visited by the spirit of KK in the night. He talks about living the way I want to live and how the world is meant to be explored, which does not all remind me of how I'm heavily advised to never leave my apartment in real life. He also talks about how being lonesome can grind on your soul. Silly KK, you're not a cat. He talks about the importance of friendship and pieces out, then I get abruptly woken up by Tom. He gives me a cell phone, asks me to turn it on, and then tells me to put it away before my millennial brain gets too distracted. Then he happily hands me an itemized bill before realizing I don't have any freaking bells. I mean, who does he think I am? Someone who pays up front to go on an island getaway? He then tells me I can pay with miles instead of bells, which he describes as simply doing things and enjoying myself on the island. Who knew I would ever be able to pay off my debts with happiness? So the first thing I do with my newfound freedom on this beautiful island is, of course, look at my new phone. The Nook Miles reward me for doing just about anything, one of which is taking a photo, so I just go ahead and do that right away. Another way to get miles is to create a custom design. This is gonna take some thinking. Beautiful. It's a penguin. You see it? A penguin. Design done. I display my pattern on the ground in front of my tent flap to warn others about the type of person who lives here, change my passport a little, and check my mail to see that Nintendo themselves has sent me gifts. A simple DIY workbench recipe and oh my god, a Nintendo Switch? I've always wanted one of those. I plop that puppy down and start playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. After that, I go around and chat with my fellow islanders. Muffy gave me a DIY recipe for leaf umbrellas, and Tank gave me a tulip hat. Muffy also gave me a hot tip that I should go see Tom Nook to learn how to learn DIY recipes, and on my way to Resident Services, I stopped by the bulletin board to write a little notice. Inside of Resident Services, I saw some of the stuff I picked up to Tommy, then talked to Nook, who pencils me in for a DIY workshop appointment that starts the moment he signs my name. He tasked me with grabbing a few branches to make a fishing rod out of, so I make like a tree and branches in hand, I return to Nook and make a flimsy fishing rod. Nook then sends me a download for a couple more DIY projects, so now it's time to really get to work. First though, I'm curious about the big box next to Timmy and learned that it's a recycle box, where things go if they have to be removed during construction. Inside is a cardboard box. No snake, unfortunately. Then I check out the next stop and see that they had KK Cruisin', which I obviously cannot go without, so getting bells ASAP will be high priority. I spend a good amount of time beautifying the island by picking weeds, and I catch my first fish, the ever-elusive and most rare black bass. Once I find 8 more branches and way more weeds than I should reasonably be able to hold in my pockets, I go back to the Resident Services workbench and craft a flimsy net, a campfire, and 7 leaf umbrellas, because you really can't be too prepared for bad weather. Now that I have some bells, I immediately order KK Cruisin' Express First Class, and also spring on the chow tea and the paisley bandana for good measure. Having the utility sink would be nice so I can wash my hands like everyone ought to be doing constantly, so I go out and gather a few more things to sell so I can afford it. Now that my shopping's done, I go to Tom and excitedly show him the black bass I caught earlier, and he takes it to send to his buddy who owns a museum. Then he sends me a download for Critterpedia so I can look at all my past accomplishments of removing fauna from their regular lives and putting them in a constructed environment for people and animals to stare at them. I proceed to give Nook a butterfly, and he rewards me with a bunch of wood-based recipes as well as a recipe for crafting an axe. Perfect! I was afraid I was going to run out of ways to disrupt the endemic life around here. I give him one last creature for now, and this time, he rewards me with flower seeds. I plant 2 next to my tent and 2 next to Muffy's tent, but only 1 next to Tank's because he might trample over them while getting swole. I grab enough branches to make an axe, give Nook a common butterfly, and he gives me the recipe for making watering cans. Then I realize I have 5,000 miles now, and that's what I owed. So now's as good a time as any to cough up. Nook shows a bit of his true colors by stopping himself from calling the island a barren wasteland, and then we get to work on ditching my tent in exchange for a house. For further signing my soul away to him, Nook gives me access to Nook Miles Plus, giving me the ability to earn miles in more and different ways. I started salting the local trees with my spaghetti noodle axe until it breaks, then take my gathered wood to craft a birdhouse, a bonfire, and some log stakes. I put down the bonfire and practice some 6 sidestep tech before relocating it to the beach. The birdhouse gets placed next to my budding flower patch, and I put the wood stakes down, determining that I could use them as a fence if I want, but maybe later. I go and find a 5th creature for Tom, and as if on cue, he gets a call from Blathers. Blathers gets convinced to bring his museum out to the island, and Tom asks me to pick a spot for him to set up. I quickly whip up a new axe and set out. Along the way, I catch a powerful butterfly that manages to ravage my bug net. With the museum site picked, I hurry up and break my axe, then go make a watering can. I water the flowers around the island, chat it up with Tank and Muffy, and figure it would be a good time to wind down for the day. First though, I go to check out the new stuff I can buy at Nook Stop with my miles. I'm really interested in this special tour, but figure the pretty good tools recipe should be my priority, so I decide to start saving up for that. With that, I wrap things up for now, looking forward to what my second day on the island will have in store. March 21st, 2020, and I have 9 friends online. I wonder what they're playing. Oh. Yeah, right. We join Nook, and you can tell he has cash to spare because he's talking into a microphone outside in the rain. He tells us he's going to start doing island-wide broadcasts starting immediately, and tells us that the CDC strongly recommends staying inside. Oh, wait, no, actually the opposite. He's telling us to hop on planes and go to other islands. How fun. He lets everyone know we can also send mail from the airport and officially announces that Blathers is in town. I step outside of my newly renovated home and immediately take out my cell phone in the rain. I moved to this island without any bells. You think I care about money? I claim some Nook Miles for having a house and open my mailbox to see that my mom and the Happy Home Academy have sent me gifts. But most importantly, my copy of KK Cruisin' has arrived. Heck yeah. I notice my penguin pattern is obscured by my new stairs, so I destroy it without thinking twice and go inside to check out my new digs. I love it. But I have a radio that plays random music and not a stereo that I can put my KK Cruisin' copy into, so I figure I should fix that as soon as I can. Before that though, let's do some rearranging. So much more beautiful and homey. I learned how to make a wooden end table, put on my new shirt and bandana, install my sink and wash my hands, then head out into the rainy day. I check in with Muffy and find a glowing spot in the ground. Figuring it's probably nothing, I decide to go see how the Knicks are doing. I come in to hear Tom telling Timmy that he and Tommy need to stop freeloading around and get their own business started. Nook gasses up how great the house he built for me is before getting to the part that really brings his capitalist heart joy. How much the renovation is gonna cost me. I ask if I can pay in miles and he spits in my face and calls me scum. Then he gives me a free Nook Miles ticket, aka that thing I was debating buying yesterday with my own hard-earned miles. Thank goodness I fought against my impulses for once in my life. I check the recycle box to see if there's any free stuff. There's not. Then I talk to Timmy and he asks me to collaborate with him to build a shop. I agree to help a bro out. I mean, all I need to do is get 30 hardwood, 30 softwood, 30 regular wood, 30 iron nuggets, 30 eggs, 30 gallons of water, 30 days of my life back. Oh wait, this is my quarantine list. I buy a slingshot because I'm sure that'll help, use up some of the wood I should be saving to make a wooden end table, and then a new flimsy axe so I can go bully some trees. I step outside specifically to check my phone in the rain, then realize I have enough miles to snag those recipes I looked at yesterday. With this newfound knowledge, I create an even better tree battering tool and set back out. I decide that rock shouldn't get away scot-free and I try my axe on one. And not only am I surprised that it actually hits, but it also spits out bells. Who knew it would be so beneficial to be mean to nature? I come across Tank and he's heard that I'm gathering materials to help build a shop. To help out, he hands me some iron nuggets. What a friend. While gathering, I spot a present floating by on a balloon and shoot it down with my slingshot, and inside was 5,000 bells. This slingshot is already the best investment I've ever made. I take a break from gathering to freshen up my living spaces a bit. Then when it's back to hitting trees, I accidentally knock down a wasp nest. In a panic, I run to resident services and try to chop the tent down, but no luck and I get all stung up. Since I'm here, I go inside and drop off 30 hardwood and 30 regular wood. And Timmy gives me some book stands and a stovetop espresso maker in return. Reading at the speed of sound will help me as I recover from being mauled. Before I leave, I make a regular watering can, a decent bug net, and a passable fishing rod. At the beach, I find Gulliver washed up on shore. Thinking my face in his current state would be the most welcoming thing for him to see after waking up, I poke at him until he starts moving. Falling off ships seems to be his primary talent, so I assume assume he doesn't do well in very many fandoms. His cell phone is the only way he can contact his crew and it's broken, so it's up to me to find the missing pieces that fell off before he runs out of nautical puns. They're buried in the sand though, so I might want to figure out how to make a shovel at some point in my life. Nearby, I find a real nice message in a bottle that tells me to love me the way that I am. Thank you, bottle message, I am beautiful. Then I talk to Muffy, who's stunned by my hideous face. She gives me the recipe for making medicine. In a cruel twist of fate, it requires a wasp's nest. Whoever came up with this probably used magnifying glasses to fright ants as a kid. I finally take the time to go say hi to Blathers, and he explains that he's gonna need more than just fish and insects to open up a museum around these parts. He theorizes that a bunch of fossils are on the other side of the river and sends me the recipe for making a vaulting pole. He also sends me the recipe for shovel making. Ah, thank goodness, I can finally live my dream of putting holes in the ground. I give him the fish that probably aren't doing too well living in my pockets, and he tells me some trivia about each of them. Afterwards, I take my newfound DIY knowledge over to the workbench and make a vaulting pole, a wooden full-length mirror, a wooden block toy, an old-fashioned washtub, a stone stool, and a frying pan. My house is really starting to come together. I go and buy the tool ring because I've heard it's essential. Gotta say, it is fun to just go around in a circle like this. I get over my fears embedded in me from high school track and field and pole vault over the river to access more weeds and trees for crafting. And then my axe breaks. I go back to resident services and finally make a shovel, as well as some much needed medicine and an even more vital hay bed. Now this is living in paradise. I take my shovel and dig up 1,000 bells from the gates of Olympus and plant one of the apples my mom sent me in its place. I take a picture for posterity and then head back across the river with a new flimsy axe where I find my first fossil. Then another floating present comes along containing a fairy tale hood. This was made for me. I also found one of the communicator parts, just 4 more to go. Man, I just realized how big my list of to-do items is all of a sudden. It's mildly stressful. I thought this island getaway was supposed to be relaxing. I give the fossil to Blathers and it turns out to be a T-Rex torso. I'm totally ready for this island to become Jurassic Park. Deciding I should focus on one task at a time to avoid confusing myself over where, what, and who I am, I gather the rest of Gulliver's communicator parts and hand them back to him. As thanks, he promises to send me something in the mail that I should check for in a few days. Next on the list is to get Timmy the rest of the materials he needs. I vault across the river and get to work whacking trees and, oops. Uh-oh. This axe is actually sharp. Well, shoot. I actually feel kinda bad about that. I go around shaking trees to break loose some branches and make a blunt axe, then I get right back to it. And wouldn't you know it, yet another floating present is just overhead, and this time it has 5 iron ores inside. Thanks for watching over me, Tortimer. I get attacked by wasps yet again and try to escape, but you know what? I'm still at least a 6 like this, so I'll just let it go. Quite a while later, I gather 30 pieces of softwood. Now all that's left is the iron and then I can be done. I think that was the only rock I haven't hit yet, and I'm only at 13 iron ores. Well, so much for that. I give Timmy the 30 pieces of softwood and he gives me some concrete flooring. I use Tom's workbench to craft my own portable workbench and an ocarina. It doesn't make me teleport through time, trust me, I tried. I visit Nookstop to drop 5,000 miles on this pocket organization guide and see what that's all about. It lets me carry more things, thank goodness. My pack mule potential is being realized. After I catch a few more critters for Blathers, Muffy runs up to me excitedly and gives me a spare stone axe to help me gather things for the shop. Really appreciated, considering my other axe will probably break next time a butterfly flaps his wings too hard. I take my new donations to Blathers and only need 1 more to go. So I grab my fishing rod and go catch a stone. Then I catch a red snapper and give it to Blathers. Now the museum will be built soon, yay! Realizing I haven't checked the Nook shopping part of the Nookstop yet, I peruse it and wow, they're really doing this to me, huh? I step outside to give my portable crafting table a whirl and sell the results to Timmy, but it's still not enough. So I liberate some fish from their homes and now my second switch will arrive in the mail tomorrow. Feeling a bit bummed about running out of rocks to hit for ore, I ask a friend if I can visit her island and she agrees. So I gather up some gift peaches and hop aboard the next flight to Fluffton. I quickly use some medicine to look my best, then my friend and I stare at our phones near each other for a very long time. Typical. We exchange unique fruits, I grab some apples, and I go meet her local island neighbors Tammy and Billy. Then it's rock hitting time. Except she already broke all of her rocks today. Having not previously known that that was possible, I learned that all I have to do is eat some fruit, and then I can unleash all kinds of fury on nature. But first, Bitch gives me some iron ore that she had lying around, and we take a picture at the airport. Back at home, I take a bite of Mike's secret stuff, and sure enough, I completely obliterate the first rock that looks at me funny. I go and give a couple other rocks the same treatment to satisfy my hunger for power. My warpath leads me towards chopping down trees to replace them with foreign fruits, and for the 3rd time today, I get hassled by wasps. I realize I could try to catch them with my bug net, but instead I decide to do a cartoon skid to a stop and let them have at my face. You know, it's been a long day. I'm gonna sit next to Tank and just relax for a minute. Wait, when did I get on this plane? I don't have an umbrella in the rain, so this is the perfect time to take out my phone as my friend stares at me. Here, I meet Fuchsia and... Tank? What? I step out of the Twilight Zone and goof around on the island for a while before snapping another quick photo and heading back home once more. Having spent nearly enough money to pay off my house loan and putting none of it towards my actual house, I decide that this has been more than enough adventuring for one day and head home to turn in for the night. Before I do though, I see I have mail from Bits. Since I forgot to use medicine before I landed, she saw me pre-operation and sent me over some more medicine to help. I write her back and include a wooden end table as thanks. With that done, I'm finally ready to wrap things up for now and take a nice relaxing evening for myself. March 22nd, 2020. We start off with Nook's lovely self announcing that construction of the Kyoshi Museum is underway, and he gives a pitch-perfect impersonation of Blathers for good measure. With the announcement done, I step outside and why is someone calling me? I thought I told everyone I need at least 30 minutes after waking up before they can start bothering me. It is Nook calling to tell me about a new app, which he sends me immediately. It's an app that lets me call other residents, so basically this is the first time I get to use my phone like an actual phone. I was given this app because a new neighbor moved in, Meg. She's not around right now though, unfortunately, so I'll be flying solo again today. I checked the mail and I'm surprised to see Gulliver's gift has already arrived since he said it would take a few days. What a fibber. I collect my mini mail orders and then check out what the Happy Home Academy has to say. Apparently they give me a B rank just because I have a lot of furniture. Oh boy, this isn't gonna help with my hoarding tendencies, is it? I opened the gifts and Gulliver sent me a lucky cat while the HHA sent me a vacuum cleaner. Alright, fine, I get it. I'll clean up a bit, jeez. Just kidding. After cluttering out my house more, I put on my new glasses and vest. If you can't trust someone who looks like this, can you really trust anyone? I throw water all over the place, then I set up my telescope, dig up a fossil, and start doing stuff outside of a 5-foot radius of my house. My eye gets drawn to a new message bottle, and hovering right near it is a beautiful emperor butterfly that's taking an economy class flight to the museum. This bottle is about someone who found a DIY recipe and almost ate it out of desperation. It's for a water pump, but why would you need that when you live somewhere literally surrounded by water? Oh right, because it's salt water, and drinking it would just make you dead. I vault over to another glowing spot in the ground and wonder what would happen if I just buried the bag of bells right back in there. Huh. After feeling regret over breaking those 3 rocks yesterday, I discovered that one of them appeared next to another due to the natural reproductive process of budding. Thank goodness, now I can plunder them for all they're worth. I find another one, but sad to say, I only got 2 more iron nuggets out of the whole deal, keeping me short by 8. To drown my sorrows away, I go ahead and break my fishing rod and travel upstream exclusively by vaulting. Afterwards, I look in the free stuff vault at Resident Services and find a rusted part. No idea what that's for, but as previously expressed, hoarding makes me happy, so I take it anyway. I go to Tom and ask what I should do since the rocks around town have failed me for the last time, and he just thanks me for volunteering to help gather materials for the shop. Real useful, Nook. I do some online shopping to satisfy my consumerism, then fork up the rest of my bells to Nook so he'll stop side-eyeing me every time I walk near him. When all else fails, at least I have my daily quest for double Nook miles. So I go chop some wood within running distance of Resident Services, destroy a tree, bury a peach in its place, take a picture of my accomplishment, and try to hook a butterfly fish, but give up after about 20 minutes. At the end of the day, I at least managed to pay off a bit of my crushing debt, so overall, I feel pretty good about not getting everything done that I wanted to. And besides, tomorrow should be the grand opening of the museum. Definitely can't wait to unload those 20 bugs, fish, and fossils on the Blathers all at once. So, I lie down in my near-perfect home and decide now's as good a time as any to wrap things up for the night. Museum Monday! First things first, I suplex my non-essentials into storage and stuff my pants full of gifts for Blathers. I go ahead and unearth the fossil right outside of my front door and head straight over to the museum. Along the way, I see Tank has also upgraded to a house. It's very Eiffel 65 in here. I go and congratulate Tank on his new place, then I almost go to the museum before remembering Nook actually said to meet him at Resident Services. I quickly check for anything to pilfer from the recycle box, then tell Nook I'd like to participate in the opening ceremony of the museum. Yay! I'm asked to speak, and forgetting what words are for a moment, I just scream. Everyone seems to enjoy that. With the ceremony done, I step inside and oh, wow! This lobby is so high class. Finally, a place around here worthy of my presence. I wake up Blathers and drop the metric ton of donations on him. With that out of the way, let's have a look around. What? This aquarium is like a fish resort. Look at that koi. It's so blue. Absolutely captivating. Hi there. Dude, how big is this place? I'm so close I feel like I can touch them. There are more fish in the bug exhibit? Revolutionary. This monarch is fancy living right now. You're welcome. Okay, this is definitely my favorite room. Butterfly cloning, I see. Ominous. I like it. It's a spot just for me. The height of evolutionary achievement. With the museum thoroughly explored, I pick the flowers next to Tank's house without asking and put them in my hair, then give them and everything around them a nice sprinkle of water. I also water Muffy's flowers and go inside to welcome her to the homeowner's crew. Now I finally go back home, grab my mail, slip on my new loafers, decorate my yard some more, and do some swapping between my pockets and my storage. Now begins day 3 of trying to find some freaking iron nuggets. My resolve begins to wane as the 3 rocks from yesterday only give me 4 more nuggets. And to add insult to injury, I shoot down another balloon present and it has homework inside. Red, green, blue? Ugh, I can't make heads or tails of this. I find another new rock and it only gives me 2 nuggets, and then my shovel breaks. I update my designer app to the Pro Edition and begin making what is definitely not a demon, then hear back from a friend who says that she has some spare iron nuggets. Our charter a flight, and bing bang boo, I'm off to Kadavu. Of course, gotta take out my phone and register Miyuki as a best bud before actually going to say hi to her. I take a picture at Stonehenge before grabbing the nuggets, then twirl around on a tire. I really like her island, and I hang out at her heart-shaped pond for a while. I visit her Nook's Cranny location and chat it up with alternate universe Timmy and Tommy, then visit her neighbors Kat and Antonio. We go take a quick airport selfie, then I open up my gate so she can come visit me. While she's perusing my place, I finally wire the 30 iron nuggets to Timmy. He gives me the honor of choosing a place to put the store, but that'll wait for later. I eat a peach and dig up an entire tree to put it in my pocket, then I sell it to Timmy for 240 bells. I snatch up a director's chair and grab all the hair-related Nook Miles rewards. Just call me Eric Killmonger. If this doesn't scream director hair, I don't know what does. Miyuki heads back home, I go and read the message she left for us on the bulletin board. Aw. And then I finally set the spot where I'd like Timmy and Tommy's shop to go. I get myself over to Nook Stop and send a floating biotope planter to Miyuki as thanks for all of her help. I then pay off more of my loan and notice that I'm about halfway through paying it off in full. Maybe I can knock that out today too? While looting nature's bounty, I fish up this honkin' chonker. I take it to Blathers learn what its deal is, then I go stare at it in the aquarium. Not gonna lie, kinda creeps me out. About an hour later, I save up enough to cap off my loan and immediately talk to Nook about putting myself into even more debt. Just thinking about all the new stuff I can cram in here has my heart all aflutter. I sit down with this homework once again and try to figure it out. It might take me a while though, so I go ahead and wrap things up for now. March 24th. 2020. Nook announces that Timmy and Tommy's store is officially open and that the Nook shopping service has added a catalog. Just as he's about to wrap things up, Nook suddenly gets a phone call about the island getaway package. Sounds like we might be getting a new neighbor pretty soon. So, right off the bat, it's time to reorganize. It's always nice to do a little spring cleaning. I step outside and grab my mail orders, then receive a convenient electronic appliance from the HHA. Turns out the HHA sent me an ironing set so I can make my home even more practical, and Miyuki sent me an orange. I plant it right away and then figure I could go for a change of clothes to suit the sunny day. I also changed my hairstyle back to what it typically is. I check in with Muffy and see she spruced things up a little bit since yesterday. I give her some flowers and she happily accepts them. And then I go check in with Nook, who's happy as ever to tell me again that I owe him 198,000 bells. His phone starts ringing, and after he's done ignoring me, he tells me that 3 whole individuals are interested in coming to the island. However, Nook flat out told them that they'd have completely furnished homes when they arrived, and that's more than he can handle by himself. So, of course, he wants me to help him. I try to suggest that he just let me not pay the loan in compensation, but he ignores me and says that he'll give me a thank you. First thing on the old to-do list is build a bridge. Start off nice and simple for just one person to do completely on their own. I check out the construction kit, and all I need is 4 log stakes, 4 pieces of clay, and 4 stones. That actually is super easy, huh? I go back home and grab the necessary supplies from my storage and get cracking. Bam! Bridge construction kit done in 10 seconds flat. I plop that baby down and go tell Nook, and then we get started on what to do about the 3 new homes. It's up to me to choose where the new homes will go and to build all the furniture for them. Among the recipes he sends me is a ladder, so I build one of those babies immediately. Before I get to work gathering materials though, I bring up that I want to hold a ceremony for the opening of Nook's Cranny. We detonate our poppers in celebration, then I head inside. There's a new animal here named Mabel. She's congratulating the boys on opening the shop, and she offers to stop by now and then to satisfy the island's fashion needs. Timmy gives me the rundown on several new services the shop offers, then I learned that stone stools are the hot item of the day. So I step outside for a second, then come back in and sell them the stone stool I suddenly have. I buy more DIY recipes, new wallpaper, new flooring, and some dinnerware, then head back home to refresh my living space yet again. Among the new possessions, I make myself a stereo. Best believe KK Cruisin' is going to be playing in here 24 hours a day. I venture out to gather materials to craft a wooden simple bed, then notice another message bottle. This person came up with a DIY recipe for a wooden low table while in the shower. Man, I really like how my place is looking now. So when can I get even more space? I go and scout out a place to put the first plot, then Nook calls me up right on cue to make sure I'm not loafing around. I go ahead and put down plots 2 and 3 in potentially questionable areas, then begin my material hunt to craft all the items for plot 1. I knock out the interior items pretty quickly, then place all the exterior items around the outside. With plot 1 done, I go ahead and start working on plots 2 and 3. Along the way, I finally get the best of a horde of wasps and manage to catch one. You're going to the museum where you'll be loved and taken care of, mister. Plot 2 gets completely finished, but I can't wrap up plot 3 because I'm I'm one piece of clay short. So the only thing to do when I need to get a single thing is hop on a plane and fly to a completely different island. Whooper gives me the rundown on island procedure, and then I spot a fellow explorer named Fauna hanging out near a rock. I go say hi to her, then beat the ever-living crud out of that stone. It gives me everything I need and more, and I decide to relax in the island for a while before heading back home. I submit the final furnishing, then report to Nook about my job perfectly done. As thanks, Nook gives me some free fencing. I mean, sure, I guess that's an appropriate thank you for helping you double your customer base. I go give Tank a coconut because why not, and he gives me 325 bells in return. Then I do a little landscaping around my house. After buying a few things at Nook Stop and paying down my debt a little, Muffy stops me and tells me about these things called emotions. Feeling things is fun. Becoming more in tune with my inner self is exhausting, so I think this is as good a time as any to go ahead and wrap things up for now and grab a little nap. March 25th, 2020. Today, Nook starts off by announcing that we have a new neighbor in town named Clay. Ben lets us DIY veterans know that he's hosting a customization workshop. There's no way that can go wrong. Nook gives me a recipe to make a wooden wardrobe to practice customization on, and I set out to go gather some wood. Along the way, I run into a dog named Harvey who's giving off some, interesting vibes. He invites me to go check out his island sometime, which I definitely have to do because, I mean, look at this guy. Totally trustworthy. I also stop by a Tank's place and he's busy hammering away at his DIY workbench. I ask him what he's making and he tells me it's a bamboo wall decoration. That's just vague enough of a description to get me to ask him to teach me how to make one. I go to my recipe list to take a look and oh, it's a piece of bamboo with a mistletoe tied to it. Okay. While I'm gathering wood, Muffy approaches me and starts wondering how to make Kyoshi more welcoming to new arrivals. She thinks adding a new installation will give the island a little spice, and then she hands me a drinking fountain. Good thinking. The first thing everyone wants when coming to an island paradise is public access to a water spout. You know, I wrote that as a joke, but access to water is really nice. Drink water, everyone. I plop that down between a couple trees near the airport, then get right back to hitting those same trees. I make my wooden wardrobe and take it back to Nook, and he gives me a bunch of customization kits. Turns out all I can do is change the color. Smart move, Nook. There were about to be penguins everywhere. He does tell me that I can add custom designs to some furniture though, so there's still hope. I stop by at home and realize I should probably grab my mail orders and update my aesthetic before I panic over not looking fresh enough. Ah, there we go. Don't worry everyone, fashion crisis averted. I find Muffy and give her a tasty looking apples, and do the same with Tank because some apples sounds delicious right now. After giving them both a quick lesson about singular versus plural, I told Nook I like to hold a bridge completion ceremony. I wonder how many days in a row we can do this before it gets old. Also, that's Clay? Holy hamster, I have to go meet him right this second. He's already offering to share snacks with me? I think we're best friends now. While jogging on the hilltop, I spot Gulliver washed up on the shore again. I wake him up and he flatters and insults me almost simultaneously. I gotta find his communicator parts again. That cell phone is the true hero here. Who knows how many times this guy had to shove its parts back into it to make it work again. After I break my shovel, I go back home to get supplies to make a new one, then add a little extra flair to the water fountain. I get Gulliver his parts back, then discover another message bottle that has a DIY recipe for a hyacinth crown. Now that it's darker out, I decide to go to this stranger's island that I was invited to. He's standing out front of his house playing a tambourine and says it's good to see me again so soon, even though we were literally just on the same plane together. You alright, dog? I'm worrying about you. Turns out he runs a photo studio called Photopia. You know, just because of that name, I'm gonna say this guy's alright. And I'm not gonna say what this setup reminds me of. He gives me the rundown on how Photopia works, from sets to models to wardrobe to how actually taking pictures works. So I go ahead and do something. Listen, don't ask me, I don't know. Well, that was weird. Tank is stretching in the plaza and Muffy is singing. I give her some encouragement. She's got some real pipes. I do all my end of day shopping and see Tank is joined in on the nighttime serenade. This is so adorable. Tank pauses to give me a street lamp, which I set up next to the bulletin board. I go home and customize a boatload of my furniture. Hello, old friend. I've missed you so. I rejoin my friends in the plaza and take a photo with them. We've come so far together over these past several days. I go ahead and wrap things up for now so I can hang out with my neighbors.